Hey guys, welcome to the Massive. I thought I'd do a live Q&A today on a Sunday if I can get this phone to actually connect. What's going on, everybody? Got time before a client. I got a client phone call in about a half an hour, so I thought I would do a live Q&A for about 30 minutes. If you guys have any questions, drop them in. I'll try to stay on top of them. I'm pulling up my computer here so I can better monitor the questions. If I miss any questions, just send them again, and I'll try to get to them. And sorry if this camera gets blurry. I'm not sure what my camera is going on. Guys, before I get into the Q&A, I want to let you guys know I'm going to be doing my first seminar, and this is going to be in January. You can find the information at superlivingtoday.com under the tab packages. I'm going to do a full weekend seminar. It's going to be about power building, and we're going to talk about exercise form. We're going to talk about programming. We're going to talk about muscle building. We're going to talk about strength and muscle building and maximizing the process using my philosophies. And this weekend only, I'm offering anybody that's interested in this seminar $50 off the registration fee. So check it out at Super Living Today. Just go to the tab on packages. And if you guys want any of the fun stuff like the Massive Iron t-shirts, that's over at superlivingtoday.com as well. And if you want coaching, I have spots open for about 4 folks. I have 16 or 17 clients right now, but I'm going to go up to about 20 clients. So if you want weight loss or power building help, check it out at superlivingtoday.com. Let's see. Good morning, Chris. How's it going? Eugene Chu says, you in California? I am not in California. I'm in Ohio. And whoops, I just bumped my camera here. Hey, Steve, enjoying your teachings. Thanks for what you do. Thank you, Frank. I appreciate it. And let's see. Got some questions here. Peter, if doing 2 to 3 times a week frequency, should you always train to failure or incorporate the RPE scale? You should never use training to failure as something like generic. Let's put it this way. All right, training to failure, anybody that advocates training to failure on every exercise really doesn't understand how exercises work. Every exercise has a different degree of intensity. Some exercises, it's really easy to train to failure on. Some exercises, it's very difficult to train to failure on without punishing your body and increasing the risk of injury. For example, squats and deadlifts, you do not want to try to train to failure on because it dramatically increases the risk of injury. As far as the RPE and all that kind of good stuff, how's it going, Christian and Jay? As far as RPE, my method is push every set for as many reps as possible. Stop that set when you feel like the form's going to break down or when you feel like you might fail on the next rep. This ensures that you're maximizing the set, that you're maximizing muscle fiber recruitment, that you're maximizing progression safely, and that is my method. So I hope that helps. All right, I'm checking out your questions here on the computer to make sure I don't miss anything. A lifting dermatologist is in the house. How's it going? Greetings from Belgium. Do you think about reverse pyramid sets? MC Adams asks what I think about reverse pyramid sets. I don't really care if you're doing pyramiding, reverse pyramiding, whatever. As long as you're approaching them intelligently and as long as you have some type of progressive overload plan, they're absolutely fine. Most people start to look at things like pyramid sets and reverse pyramid sets and drop sets and supersets, and they want to incorporate them into their workouts, but they really don't have any type of progression plan in mind. So just make sure you have that going in. Let's see. Training to failure causes too much fatigue and not really any more stimulation. Asking for injuries as well. That's correct to some degree. Again, it's very exercise dependent. Each exercise, you can train to failure easily on some exercises, but it's certainly not needed. Trevor Bonilla says, is a 5x5 split optimal? I just made a video about optimal a few days ago. Is a 5x5 optimal? Is any workout optimal? Well, a 5x5 in and of itself just is a set and rep scheme. There's a lot of different ways you can approach progression on a 5x5. You can use linear progression. Is a 5x5 workout optimal? I don't know your assistance exercises. I don't know your progression plan. I don't know any of the variables of your workout, so it's impossible for me to say if your 5x5 is optimal. It is optimal if you have a solid progression approach, if you have a good group of assistance exercises, if your overall weekly volume per body part is well thought out, et cetera, et cetera. So it's hard to say if a 5x5 is optimal because there's too many ways to do it. There are some 5x5s out there like the Fake Mercenaries 5x5, which has a volume that would kill a man. So some of them are not optimal. What's the best type of split for beginners? I don't like full body. Summer asks, if you don't like full body workouts, you could do a frequency type of thing, like upper lower, and you could do that 3 days a week or 4 days a week if you want. That's a good choice for beginner as well. You could rotate upper, lower, upper 1 week, and then lower, upper, lower the next week if you wanted to train 3 days a week, or you could train 4 days a week doing upper, lower, rest, upper, lower, rest, rest, something like that. You can check out more information on my book, Massive Iron. That is at superlivingtoday.com. Massive Iron has like 20 programs, and it'll help you with that, Summer. So, Bruce, 4 to 6 reps okay to stay in a majority of time for novice? No. 4 to 6 reps is not optimal for novice. If you want to do a 4 to 6 rep set on your compound movements to start off your program, that's fine, but you need more volume to build muscle and build strength. 4 to 6 rep range is not good. It's okay, but it's not good. Let me backtrack before I say it's not good. It's not good for every set of every exercise because every exercise is different. So you need a little bit more training volume. Let's see. Thoughts on resistance bands for morbidly obese wanting to start an exercise program. If someone is morbidly obese and they want to exercise, basically it comes down to doing what works for them, just trying to do something to encourage movement, because movement is very important and usually is lacking in the life of somebody that is morbidly obese. And I hate to generalize, but it's generally true. So I do not want a morbidly obese person doing anything extreme that will punish their body, like trying to do hill sprints or trying to do HIIT cardio or trying to do box jumps or anything like that. Take your time, just start to move slowly, and resistance bands are a good way to enter that world. Lee Hayward, possibly the fake or real Lee Hayward, says, what do you think of training 2 days a week for gains? Training 2 days a week is possible. I've put together programs that do this, that show you how to do this. It is possible to train only 2 days a week, but you have to really nail your programming. You're probably going to understand that you are sacrificing some weekly volume, but as long as you have a progressive overload plan, you're going to do pretty darn good. Is it the most optimal way of training? Probably not, but it can be done if you have the time and the proper programming. So you can make plenty of gains. Let's see. I'm backtracking here because I got a lot of questions. How's it going, Justin? Justin said he finally caught the live stream. Glad to have you on board. That is not the real Hayward, Lee Hayward, is it? Probably not. Lee's up there in Canada, I believe. Hario Hajarillo says, as someone who has always trained to failure with high volume and made no gains as a result, what would you recommend to learn good training intuition? High volume usually is not accompanied by a good progressive overload plan. So if you're looking for someone to recommend something that I can recommend to learn good training, you have to check out my book, Massive Iron, because that has a lot of good information in it. It'll teach you how to maximize any program and make gains. Again, that's at superlivingtoday.com. Joseph, what's going on? Joseph Harmon's in the house. MC Adams, I saw your video on 2 full body workouts a week. Is 2 sets and exercise enough? Is it enough? If you're making those sets count, it's a good start. It's a good start. Is 2 sets and exercise enough? Well, obviously I'd like more, but 2 sets and exercise is never really enough. But if you're making those sets count, it's a good start. Let's put it that way. How important is stretching for a person that lifts? How important is stretching? Well, that depends on the person and your flexibility level. I don't particularly like to stretch. I stretched when I was a runner, and honestly, it helped with flexibility. If you want a greater degree of flexibility and you are really stiff and nasty and all like a piece of steel, I wish I could get this phone to focus. There we go. Then I would probably stretch. The question really is stretching a requirement for anybody that lifts? No. Is stretching a requirement for good health? No. The requirements for good health and functional strength and feeling better and looking better, you don't need to stretch. Stretching really comes down to a personal choice, whether you feel you need it, whether you feel it has value, whether you feel it's going to help your lifts. I don't use it. I don't really have the time for it. I have too many other things to do, so it's really a personal thing. How would you go about adding power training to routines you outline in your books? Cleans, box jumps, broad jumps, explosive stuff. He's asking, how would I add explosive stuff? I would be real careful when you program that. You don't want to put in explosive stuff necessarily when you're too fatigued. And I don't like to put in explosive stuff before the big compound movements, because I don't want to fatigue myself before the compound movements. I've done box jumps. I've done more explosive exercises. When I do them, I usually do my main lift first, like squats, and then I'll move on to a more explosive movement like box jumps. And I did box jumps for about 2 years, and that's the way I did it. Sometimes I would do a box jump and leg extension superset after squats. Sometimes I would just do them by themselves, depending on how I feel. But I would probably do your main movement of the day and then do an explosive movement and then go on to other exercises that are involved in that training day. All right, let's see here. Let's see. Big, hairy, ugly dude. Scapular retraction on dumbbell press. When dumbbell bench press, I tend to lose a bit of contraction on my scapula from the moment I sit on the bench. That can be natural. I mean, when you're doing a dumbbell bench press, there's going to be a little bit more tendency for one side to be more unbalanced than the other, and it's harder to stay tight. Really, you just have to do your best to stay disciplined on every set. You have to do your best to try to stay tight on every set. And if you're in that world where you're trying to stay tight and you're trying to stay disciplined, that's the best you can do. You have an awareness of what's going on, so that's a good thing. There's nothing magical I can give anybody that will help them stay tighter other than be aware of when you're losing tightness and try to continue to improve that. That's really all you can do. Let's see, Darren says, can't get to the gym for the next 2 months. Advice on how not to lose too much strength. There's nothing you can do. Nothing you can do outside of body weight exercises. You could do a lot of body weight exercises to try to help you stay. Let's see if I can get this damn camera to focus. You can do a lot of body weight exercises. You're going to lose strength, though, even if you do body weight exercises. Bench press. I can be a strong bench presser, say I have a 400-pound bench press, and still not do 10 push-ups. Conversely, you could be a guy that can do 100 push-ups a day and still not have a very strong bench press. So really, to not lose strength, you really have to continue to do the strength building exercises. You can insert body weight exercises. You can continue to do a lot of stuff to stay healthy and fit, but you're probably going to lose strength. So I would just recommend staying active, doing a lot of body weight stuff. And that's really, just focus on what you can control. That's all you can do, so do what you can do. Let's see here. Let's see. Brett Wild says, do you know if 6-star protein is a quality protein? I've seen different opinions. I would appreciate yours. I haven't looked at the label of 6-star recently, so without looking at the label, I would be hesitant to comment. If you can send me the label via my Instagram at Ben the Barman, I'd be happy to take a look and see if it looks spiked or if it looks legit. Let's see, Air Raid Band, Mr. Shaw would 1 back squat session per week for 3 sets of 8 and 1 front squat session per week, working up to a heavy triple. Sound like a decent plan? Yeah, that sounds all right. I mean, you're squatting twice a week. You have 2 exercise variations. You have a volume day. You have a heavy day. Sounds good to me. Absolutely. To this moment, I'm ready to press. Any tips to maintain tension all the way through the set up? Get tight, and once you're tight and ready to go, don't move around. Don't start moving around. Don't start pressing on a set until you are tight and set. Far too many people get the weights up and they start moving their feet and they start moving their scapula and they start moving their shoulders. Don't press unless you're ready to get tight. I can't give you any advice on how to magically stay tight. It's a discipline thing, and it's something that occurs over time. That's all I can really tell you. I got a dad gut going on. Justin says, I got a dad gut going on from lack of training. You have a dad gut from lack of eating properly. Let's get that straight. Because exercise burns very few calories, Justin. So if you have a dad gut, it's coming from your food choices, probably 90%. And I just want to be real with you. Thinking about getting back into it. Any suggestions on getting rid of the dad gut? Yeah, clean up your diet. Ask yourself what bad food choices you're making and stop making those food choices 90% of the time. Don't bring crap foods into the house that are causing you to have a dad gut. That's the biggest thing you can do. Do you need lots of cardio? No. Do you need weights to look good? Yes, and it's also good for functional strength. Walking is a great way to complement a diet, a weight loss plan, and a resistance training program. It's low impact. I really recommend hiking because hiking burns on the average twice as many calories as walking because of the uneven ground and the roots and the rocks and the hills and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's a good start. You can also hire me as a coach at superlivingtoday.com. I have a few slots left open. I'll be glad to help you. My clients have lost, I think, 150 pounds total in the past month. So they are absolutely killing it. Let's see. Thank you, Bruce, for the donation. I sincerely appreciate it. Bruce says, I'm 5'6", 135, and I've been seriously lifting 6 months. My bench is 150 for 6 reps. Am I making okay novice progress? Bruce, at 135 with a bench press of 150 for 6, you're doing very, very good. How realistically can you hit 200? That's hard to say. I will say at 150 for 6, I would push that to try to get to 150 for 10 reps. I would try to increase the reps on that, because trying to add 5 pounds and continue to do it for 6 reps is going to be a little challenging. So I would recommend trying to add reps to that set. 150 for 6, try to get that to 150 for 10 to 12, and then maybe add a second set of 150 and maybe even a third set of 150. When you can get 150 to 3 sets of 10, you're probably going to be crushing 200. So just focus on those short-term goals and see if you can't make some magic happen. Let's see here. I'm glad to answer you guys' questions. Sorry if I miss anything. Is utilizing a form of periodization really that important? Periodization is one of these things that is so obsessed about. In lifting, it's like so many guys just worry about periodization more than they worry about their diet, more than they worry about making sets count, more than they worry about their overall programming. During the first year to year and a half, 2 years of training, most guys don't need to periodize. What they really need to do is just listen to their body, take an extra. They don't need to deload really either. They need to listen to their body. Take days off when they feel beat up. Take a week off if you feel really beat up. And then after you've built a decent amount of strength, then you may need to periodize. And by periodize, I mean train heavier one week, maybe train a little bit lighter with more volume the second week. So you're not going hard, 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 and heavy every week, because eventually that will beat up your joints. The average lifter, that will beat up your joints. So once you have built an appreciable amount of strength, it's a good idea to kind of rotate how intense your workouts are so you're not beating up your body. Because if you're 20 years old or 22 years old or 26 or whatever, and you take 2 years building up a lot of strength, and you're in your 20s or even early 30s, and then all of a sudden you have 30 or 40 years of training, you can't simply continue to beat up your body week in and week out without taking a toll on your joints. So you have to start to train smarter, and that might include some periodization. Let's see here. If I do 5x5 on a compound movement, will supplementing a lot of lighter volume after the 5x5 ruin your gains? No, it won't ruin your gains. It'll actually probably increase your gains. If I'm going to do a 5x5, you want to back that with some volume of something. I mean, you want to back that with some volume, because that's only 25 reps for an exercise. So that's a good start. If you're doing 5x5 on squats, me personally, I'd back that with leg press and leg extensions and box jumps each week. If I'm doing 5x5 on bench, I'm going to back that up with 3 to 5 sets of dumbbell bench press for 10 reps, and then maybe some machine chest presses and some push-ups. I want a little bit more volume than that. So it's not going to decrease your gains. It'll likely increase your gains. Let's see. I want to make sure I don't miss any questions. MC Adams says, are intensity days needed, or just stick to the 6 to 8 rep range indefinitely? Most guys don't need to drop below the 6 to 12 rep range. Most guys don't need low rep sets. It's just kind of this myth that you need to drop into low rep sets to build strength. I built 95%, if not 98% of my strength in that rep range. You can build the vast majority of your strength just in the 6 to 12 rep range. By doing so, you're going to build a lot of muscle mass in the process. So I don't know where along the line we've lost our cumulative head, and I'm not talking about you specifically, but the lifting industry has started to believe that 6 to 12 rep ranges doesn't really build strength. You should build the majority of your strength in that range, and then you'll build plenty of muscle mass as well. What do you think about intermittent fasting and keto? Keto, oh, good Lord. It's too restrictive. Excuse me. Got a fur ball. Keto. It's just, why I don't like any diets that cut out whole foods. Keto is not magical. It's not any better for fat loss than any other diet. The only advantage of keto is that when you get on it, you start to lose water weight more quickly because you're dropping carbs. But if you like eating that way, great. It's not a magic fat loss plan. Intermittent fasting, I ran it strictly for 4 years, if not 5. And I found I lost 5 to 8 pounds of muscle mass. When I added in 300 to 500 calories of protein during the underfeeding window, my muscle mass came back. That's just my personal experience. So for lifters, I recommend, and some of the intermittent fasting Nazis don't like this, but for lifters, I recommend adding in 300 to 500 calories of protein, mostly protein, during the underfeeding window. Yes, that's not strict intermittent fasting. No, I don't give a shit, because that's what I found works best for muscle mass. Period, end of story. Your mileage may vary. Feel free to hate me. Let's see, David, is it fine to eat the same thing for around 2 months as long as you hit your macros and micros? David, that's a hard question to answer, because if you're not getting in a lot of food variety, you might be lacking some micronutrients. If you're eating the same thing each day and you have a broad spectrum of micronutrients, then it's fine. Let's see here. Memento Mori. Hey, Steve, I'm a beginner. I started doing compound lifts, and I'm having a hard time figuring out the correct form. I notice a new error with form. How much time does it take to learn? I will say that the fact that you are aware of issues with your form is a good thing, because 90% of the form videos, 90% of the videos on squats and deadlift and bench I see on Instagram and YouTube have crappy form. And the biggest issues with these guys is they do not have awareness of their crappy form. So I will say the fact that you have awareness is a good thing. Just continue to learn, and you should have everything 95%, within the first 6 to 12 months. If you need form help, I provide that at superlivingtoday.com if you want some help from the big hairy ugly dude. All right, guys, I'm going to try to stay on for about another 5 minutes and get through as many questions as I can. Project says, is this kind of leg day sustainable? Front squats, back squats, and deadlifts. I've been making great progress. That's a lot of compound movements in a day. It's not going to be sustainable indefinitely, because as you get stronger, your energy is going to be zapped. You're going to have a lot of warm-up sets. You're going to start to get fatigued from one exercise, and it's going to impact your ability to perform effectively another exercise. So it's not sustainable indefinitely. Let's put it that way. Daniel Sanchez asks, is this live like right now? No, it's not live. Yeah, it is. I'm just kidding. Yes, Daniel, it's live right now. Let's see. Arbaz Jalil says, whoops, I lost it. Where are you? I alternate between barbell and dumbbell bench press. I feel like my chest is lagging behind. What do you recommend? Dumbbell or bench press or bench press? Over the years, I alternate both. I like them both. I like them both in a program, so I recommend sticking with both. Let's see. Barbell is for overall strength. Dumbbell is better for size. That's really, really bad advice. Really bad advice, PM Fitness. To say barbell is better for overall strength, dumbbell is better for size, that's absolutely not true. That's absolutely not true. That's misinformation. Sorry to be offended. Sorry if I offend you or upset you, but I can't allow bad information in my feed. Thoughts on the Duffalo bar? If you have a squat bar that is bowed, it's going to help relieve pressure on the shoulders. As you become a big boy and you build up a lot of mass in your shoulders and traps and back, it forces you to bring your hands back further, and it can put a lot of stress on your shoulders and leave you in a lot of pain. So a bowed bar actually helps relieve the shoulder pain. It's good for the more intermediate lifter who is a bigger boy or has had added a lot of mass. And it's a decent bar, so I like it. Naz Daz says, I'm letting weight, walking and doing cardio and taking almost no carbs. Can that work out to lose weight? Can that work to lose weight and look good? Yeah. I mean, low carb diet with exercise is a good thing to do. Yes, absolutely. Just don't starve yourself. Let's see. SVL says, Steve, I'm thinking about switching high bar squat to front squat because after a heavy deadlift day, my traps and lower back are really sore. What's your opinion? If front squats are a good option, I mean, I would probably keep some back squats in there. Maybe just do a higher rep set, like a 15 rep set. And then maybe, do that every other week. But I would keep some form of back squats in there. But if you're really, really sore, that's going to go away over time. I mean, as you get a little bit stronger. So, yeah, I mean, that's good. I mean, you can just do front squats and deadlift. There's no issue with that. I would probably try to figure out a way to keep at least one back squat set in per week. Let's see. YouTube says, how do you go about finding your weight class? I'm 6'2" and 185. Weight class for what, really? Bodybuilding, powerlifting? I'm not really understand the question. Sorry. Let's see. Oh, look, there's an Australian.
Hey.
What's going on? Show us your humongous biceps.
Oh, they're hiding. They're hiding.
She's busy doing sewing stuff.
It's cold.
Big Jack says, I was a power lifter back in high school, 1850 total. I'm 30 now and I have the itch to lift again. I'm dieting down. Should I wait until I'm at a better body fat? I'm 290. Yeah, Big Jack, look, you're 30 years old and you're 290 pounds. Get your health in order first, because it's easier to lose weight and then build strength than to get really strong at a heavy body weight and then lose the weight, because you'll lose strength as well and it'll mess with your head. So whenever I'm talking to a bigger guy that wants to get strong, I always tell him lose the weight first and then build the strength up. Because if you're at, and I know this from personal experience, if you're a big, strong boy and you get really strong being a big boy, it's hard to lose weight because you're going to lose strength and it's going to mess with your head. So Brett Wild says keto will kill you. No, it won't, but I think he was joking. Let's see. Full body workout or split routine, which is best? Which is best? I spoke about this in a video a few days ago, talking about optimization. There's so many variables. So many variables. As long as you are applying the main pillars that I talk about in my book, progressive overload, good exercise selection, consistency, meal, all that kind of good stuff, over the long run, over 3, 4, 5 years, you're going to gain about the same muscle mass. I don't care what anybody says. I know this from experience. It's not a bro opinion. I work in the industry. I've seen hundreds and hundreds of top natural bodybuilders and figure competitors build amazing bodies with split programs. Let's say full body workouts are more optimal because of muscle protein synthesis. I get that. I know the science. I know the reality. But it might only be a 1 or 2 or 3% advantage. And over 3, 4, 5, 6 years, it doesn't really matter as long as you're doing the right things. I don't care what anybody says. That's reality. Let's see. A few more questions. Hey, John West, how's it going? Michael Francis says, you are a hunk. I want to worship you, stud. The only one that gets to worship my studliness is my wife, but thank you for your kind words. Dumbbells. Or somebody else. You can. This is the only one that gets to worship me right here. My beautiful wife. Oh, there's some bonus worship for you. Let's see here. I'm an Indian. Indian foods have mostly carbs. Indians consume 60 to 70 grams of protein a day. Can we look? I have clients in India. I know they're able to get more than 60, 70 grams of protein per day. So you just need to find a way to increase your protein, because 60 to 70 grams isn't optimal. And it doesn't matter if you're on planet Mars or India or Japan or a small Caribbean island, you can find a way to get more than 60 to 70 grams of protein per day. All right. Let's see. Hi, Fiona. Humongous arms. Let's see. Let's see. Tim Morgan says, over 30 guy, off for a while. Advice for getting back into lifting. Good question, Tim. This is going to be my last question for the day, because I got to go off and I have a client phone call soon. If you're getting back into it, the first 2 weeks, just take like 2 to 3 days, ease into it. Don't go heavy. Don't do a lot of volume. Just try to develop the consistency again. Get back to the gym. After the first 2 to 3 weeks, then you can slowly start to ramp up and add weight a little bit. But you don't want to punish yourself right away back in the gym. You don't want to do a lot of volume, a lot of heavy weight. Ease into it. All right, guys, that's it for today. I hope this video has been of some help. If you need one-on-one coaching or form assessment or Massive Iron t-shirts, or you want to register for my seminar, which is coming up in January here in Ohio, all that information is at Super Living today. The seminar is at the tab called Packages. Through today, if you register, it's $50 off. Early in savings for anybody that's interested. So, guys, hope this video has been of some help. If you have any questions or comments, drop them below. If you made it this far in this video and have yet to subscribe to my channel, please do. I'd appreciate the support. So, guys, as always, thanks for watching, and
stay super sexy.
Stay super sexy,
and
people.
Come in January.
Yeah, come in January. We want to meet you. Thanks for watching.